Okay, hello everyone. Let's get started with our Joe Lock class. But we're going to begin with a little bit of lymphatic work. So we're going to look at the big six. So let's salute. Getting ahead of myself. Hello, hello. Thank you for joining. Let's rub our hands vigorously together. Now, I, of course, like to add my own little twist on things. So we're going to start at the chest, at the breastbone, and I'd like you can get your fingers in there. If that's not comfortable, you can get your fists into the breastbone and just stick to the skin and move the flesh over the bones. Good. And it doesn't matter hugely which direction you circle, just go with your instinct. Very good. And now we're going to make cupped hands. You see that? Cupped hands like this rather than flat hands, cupped hands. And we're going to do a little drum roll over the chest. Good. All right. So now we're going on to rub our hands again, and we go on to the collarbone. So let's go to your left. I'm going to my left. Adhere to the collarbone, hold the elbow with the opposite hand, and gently, again, stick to the flesh and move it around. You may feel warmth in your hand, that's great. If you don't, that's okay too, but just gently move it around. I have seen some actually like to slide along, rubbing above and below. Personally, I'm not a big fan of that because you can irritate pressure points that affects muscular function. But if it feels good, yeah, you can do that. We're really just wanting to wake up and gently release any stickiness in the underlying tissue. So we cup hands again and we give it a jolly good thump. And something else you might want to bear in mind if you're wearing any chunky jewellery, like I was wearing beads, it can hurt when you thump your beads against your body, so be careful. Give it a good thump. Good, and rub again. Now, anytime I do Chinese Qigong, this kind of lymphatic work, they tend to be very accurate with the number of strikes that they encourage you to do, or thumps that you do onto your body. Again, stick to the collarbone, take hold of the elbow, and gently circle. And I actually like to move, because I'm a Tai Chi person, I like to move from my center, but I'm wanting to stretch and influence the flesh over the bones. So as I say, the Chinese really like their numbers. You know, they have an affinity with numbers. They feel that certain numbers are more auspicious, that they're just better. But in general, it's a case of just getting enough repetition to make a difference. So cup the hands. So quite often things in Chinese would be done minimum of 3. And that's the same in the West. They tend to go in multiples of 9. And that's, I think, harking back to the abacus. Because if you remember back in the days before our modern computers, certainly in the East, they used abacus to do or abaci, what's the plural? Abacus to do very complex and very fast multiplications. And the abacus only counts to 9, and then there are separate, there's a separate part with beads to count your tens, your hundreds, your thousands, your 100,000s, and so on. So actually, we go by we go by tens. In the Chinese tradition of counting, they would use 9 as the top number, and then they count everything else separately. So let's rub our hands again vigorously together, and this time gentle, soft. We're going to stroke down from the back of the ear to the top of the chest. Nice rhythmical strokes. Very good. So this has to be gentle. You're not going to do yourself any favors to really be pushing into your neck. But this is very useful for just helping the sinuses and the lymphatic system in the head to drain. Good. So let's take hold one side and just very gently massage. So again, I'd like you to adhere and think of pressing gently down and out. So think of opening out, press down and out, down and out. Think in, down and out, in, down and out, in, down and out. So just another gentle way of helping that fluid to drain. And we're going to go on to do our pitter-patter wiggly fingers, and we just literally raindrop from the back of the ear all the way down the neck. So I know this takes a little bit of coordination. Not everybody has the sort of dexterity of getting their fingers to pitter-patter, but give it a go. You could very, very, very lightly pat if the pitter-patter isn't going to happen. Very good. But the emphasis on neck work is soft, gentle, light. Let's rub again. We better do the other side, but do you notice a difference between the two sides? The one you've just done and the one that you haven't done yet? I do. This feels clearer. So let's clear the other side. So again, just stick to the flesh and very gently move the flesh around. In, down and out, in, down and out, in, down and out. Good, so we're really wanting to clear the path. Think of it's almost like you're pushing toothpaste in a tube. That's what lymph is kind of like. It's fluid in a tube, and it does have valves. So it wants to go in one direction and the valves close behind it, but sometimes it just needs a little gentle manual encouragement. Good, okay, so now we pitter patter from behind the ear. Do you see what I'm doing? Behind the ear, down the neck. And if that's not happening, then you can very, very lightly, just feather light, just a little pat. So no need to whack your neck. Please don't whack your neck. I don't like that thought at all. I have seen some lymph work that they do hit their neck quite strongly. I don't like it. It's all right. You see what the Shaolin monks do to themselves. They really but we'll go the water method rather than the fire method. Good, okay, rub the hands. Now we're going to go behind the ears. We literally just go behind the ears and we'll give it a bit of a rub. So you can be a bit more intense here. Good, and a little bit, again, you can do a little bit of raindrops back there. Good, let's rub again. And we'll just do a little bit of massage up and over the head, down behind the ears, down the neck. Good, let's rub again, and let's do some shampooing. So we just get those fingers into the scalp and gently mobilize the scalp. I find this one, it's okay, it's nice, but it is quite abrupt, stimulating. So if you find that this is a bit much, maybe you don't like it, maybe you've had a sinus headache and it's a bit, a bit overly stimulating, rub your hands again. I'll show you a different version. So this is called the adjusting your wig move. So you literally stick your hands to your scalp, and as if you were adjusting your wig, and let's face it, the scalp is a kind of wig. It does have movement, so we want to release the scalp. So you can even do it front and back into the forehead. Adjust your wig. Very, very good for helping the lymph to drain. Good, and let's pitter patter over the head as well. If you can't pitter patter easily, you could gently tap. I prefer the pitter patter. I think it's nice and soft. Over the face as well, down the neck. Good. All right, so let us move on to the body. We rub hands again. Let's lift up one arm, drape it over, and get into the armpit and gently mobilize. So again, we're adhering to the flesh and gently moving it around, all the way around, not just the armpit itself, but the chest. If you can reach into the back, behind the armpit, very good. Cup your hands and a jolly good thump. The vigour that you put into the thump is absolutely up to you. You can be very gentle, or you can be you can see I'm being quite, not vigorous, but I'm giving it a bit of oomph. Good, let's flow over to the other side, and we'll get in there to the armpit all around. You may find, folks, that as you do lymphatic work, you feel tired. You'll feel tired straight away sometimes. Even if you've just had a really good sleep and you didn't feel tired before it. The reason is that lymphatic work is shifting the gunk, the waste products that your body is creating. It's helping it to flush. So you can imagine that as you're doing this, actually there is more waste going through your system than there was a second ago. Cup and pat. So just as that happens, the body goes, oh, I'm tired. Yeah, the tired feeling is really a response to the gunk that is shifting, but actually it's shifting pretty fast. And so very quickly after you finish this, the body is already processing that stuff out. However, if you remember, it's really important that you drink plenty of water, that you help the fluids in your system to flush all that gunk through your various strategies of getting rid of the lymph. So we sweat out lymph, we sweat out our waste products, we breathe out some waste products, we urinate out some waste products, and we defecate out some waste products. Actually, the digestive system makes up around 70 or slightly more than 70% of our lymphatic system. So let's get the digestive system on board now with our next exercise. We rub again, and we're going to stick to the abdomen, and again move your abdomen in order to manipulate the flesh over the structures. So stick and manipulate, and keep changing the position. See if you can get into every nook and cranny. Remember, your large intestines is like a big thick rope that goes up your right side, across the top and down the left side, but you also have all the small intestines in there that are snaking away down through your body. So just get into each and every little part if you can, and give everything a bit of a movement, a bit of literally a movement round. Get everything nice and stretching. Get the flesh stretching over the structures a little bit. Good. Now we do our drum roll. We cup hands again. And you can go up and down if you like. Or you can do circles. So again, I'm going to my right. Can you go to your right? And we go up the right, across the top, down the left and underneath. Just give everything a drum roll. And it is tiring. You can try the other way as well. But again, remember, it's not just that you're using your muscles, you are shifting vast quantities of waste through your system as you do this. You're helping your system draw out toxins and dead cells and all the things that your system no longer needs and wants to get rid of, and this practice is stimulating that. So that is where the fatigue comes into play. Don't worry about it, and if you do feel very tired even after you've finished, after you've had a drink, that says to me that your system is really ready to purge all that stuff out and rest. Just rest and let it get on with it, because, you know, when it's bin day, you don't want to be having a street festival. just let the bin men come and take the stuff away, keep the roads clear for them, and then afterwards you can do your stuff. So let's rub again. We're getting there nicely. If you do nothing else from this practice, actually, that abdomen work will really help, because it's 70% of the whole thing. The tops of the arms are really important. The tops of the legs are also really important for lymph. So think of your leg, the main gate for all the waste to be got rid of has to be here. It's everything in the leg has to come through the gate of the quad. The quad is the crease of your leg. So we have the inguinal nodes there. So we rub our hands again. Always good to rub your hands, if you remember, to energize, to vitalize. We get into the crease and we gently mobilize. Again, I'm moving my body in order to stretch the structures to help to release any fascia, adhesion. I know this is all very technobabble, isn't it? But there's structures like little cobwebs, and just like cobwebs within the body, they stick together if we don't move. If we're in one position for any length of time, these little structures, interstitial structures, stick together. So we can help them Velcro apart by doing this. Good. And let's go straight on to the other side. We rub, we get into the crease, and we mobilize. Now, literally, sometimes it may feel like you are tearing the skin, or the flesh feels like it's tearing. It's not. Don't worry. Unless you have paper thin skin and it's prone to ripping for no apparent reason, it's not actually your skin at all, it's the fascia. But the fascia, these little cobweb structures underneath the skin, are literally peeling away from each other. So that's, if you do feel a ripping sensation, that's what's happening. And sometimes I have felt it and panicked. If, I don't know, I did a movement and I went, oh, my skin ripped. No, it didn't. The fascia released. So we don't have to be melodramatic, but always be gentle with yourself and listen to your body. But sometimes it will tell you rather dramatic things. So let's find the crease. Sit down a little bit so that we actually emphasize the crease. And we're going to strike with the blade of our hands. So this actually is more, I think, is more efficient than using a cupped hand in this area, and is more targeted, so you're less likely to hit anything you didn't mean to. But of course, be careful. There are some delicate structures down in that area, so we don't want to hit the golden target by accident. Good. All right. Well done. And rest. Now we're nearly there. We have done the major nodes of the body, but now we're going to the popliteals. So the popliteals are behind the knees. We rub our hands together. These are slightly less major lymph nodes, but still pretty major. So we go into our ski jump position, take hold of the back of the leg, and for this one I just rub. Just give the backs of the legs a jolly good rub. Help them get warm. And again, with cupped hands. Good, and up you come. Good, so that's the big six. But again, we're going to give it a bit more of a flourish, a little bit more. So we're going on to the elbows now. Just like the popliteals in the knees, we also have minor lymph nodes in the elbows. So we might as well, for fullness, let's rub our hands together. And we want to keep the elbows slightly bent. We don't want to start like this and hit an extended structure. So we go onto the elbow and we give it a bit of a shuggle. Technical word, shuggle. Good. And then with cupped hands, literally I think the opening the nests, I think it's called, they say something like 30 times that you strike. You could do 30, I think in the first instance do a little bit less and build it up. There's quite a few sort of tapotement type qigong exercises. Tapotement meaning like a drum beat, you know, that you're striking the body. And they tend to be, you know, do this 100 times, do this 200 times. And I find actually even doing 30 is enough. So we don't want to over-egg it, certainly not in the first instance. Get hold of the elbow, give it a wee rub, but you can build up to doing more. But I think it's important to listen to your body. And some Qigong exercises seem to be developed for sort of hardy and not very responsive bodies. So then, you know, they're like, hit it 100 times, hit it 200 times. Whereas if you're relatively sensitive, 30 times is enough. Let's go. Ready? Very good. Okay. And relax. Good. So now that we have done all of that, we could do more actually. We could do patting down the whole body, but we want to get into our Jiu-Lock practice. So let's finish off with Bai Bing Xiao. This means 100 ailments go away. And actually, I hope you have a drink handy. Before we even do the 100 ailments go away, I'd like you to please have a drink. I can even feel my mouth is dry. I feel thirsty having done this. And last time I had a therapy exchange with a friend of mine, I arrived at her door, and before we did anything else, I said, could I have a drink? And I had a drink, and that was nice. And then she was working on me, and she was going, you're really dehydrated. And this is the case that as you have any lymph work done, or almost any massage will influence the lymph. The lymph kicks into gear, and it means that we need more fluid. So we end up being a little dehydrated. So cheers, I'm on the hot water today. We want to be careful not to be necking down pints at a time, the way I have done previously, because we don't want to upset the salt balance in our system too much. So actually having litres glugging down very fast can actually be a little bit dangerous, but certainly a half pint of water can be very refreshing and help to address the balance. And if you are concerned about the sodium balance, if you've been doing a lot of exercise, if you've been sweating, I would encourage you to have a little bit of salt, or at least, you know, what's the word, an isotonic drink. You could go Lucozade, Sport, that kind of thing, or even a little orange juice diluted down is very, very useful, just so that you're getting the minerals there and not just fluids. But now we're going to do Bai Bing Xiao, 100 ailments go away. So we're going to add the Spring Forest Qigong adaptation. We're going to lift the arms up, keep them in front of them and in front of you, and keep your wrists very floppy. We're going to lift and drop the heels, nice bounce. If you find the impact is a bit much, you can just sort of gel cushion your heels in your mind so that they're not quite thumping. But actually the thump is very, very good for the bone structure. It's good for the spine. It helps invigorate the nervous system. So you see that wrists are just flopping away, and that is stimulating all of the meridians running through the wrists. Let's relax down. Let the arms swing. Allow the arms to run out of steam until they're just hanging there, and stand, please. Straight into Wuji, into listening, feeling, and letting go. Notice any of the sensations running through your body. Breathe into them letting go through them. Very good. Let's scoop the hands up to cover center. Encourage the energy to return to center just by feeling into the hands, feeling into the touch, feeling into that warmth flowing into your belly. Beautiful. Relax your arms gently down and we can close. Good stuff. So I hope you enjoyed the big six, the lymphatic work. We didn't do a lot of sinus work specifically, which I would have loved to have done because I'm quite sinusy today, but we'll maybe do it as a warm down. And I've often noticed that that is a an option, shall we say. I know Faylee Yip, who I find is just a beautiful teacher, lovely master, she often will finish with sinus work to just calm and soothe the system after the Tai Chi practice or after the Qigong practice. And it makes sense because that, how do you say, that system of removing the toxins and removing the waste from the body. After you have exercised, we have created more waste. If you think of it, we're creating lots of carbon dioxide, but it is rather like having a party when you're doing Tai Chi. It's very good for you, it's very joyous, but actually after the party you look at the house and go, oh flip, now I've got to tidy up. And that's the nature of it, that's recovery. So by doing lymphatic work after you have done your practice is very beneficial because it helps to tidy up. It helps your body to recover from your exertions, from your efforts. So let's now jump in to our Immortals Crossing the Sea form. So we're going straight to our most flamboyant of the Master Lock forms that we've covered to date. And with this one, in the first instance, we're actually going to think about leaving out the turns to adapt the practice. And this means we're warming up, aren't we? We've done physical stuff, but we're still warming. So we're going to look at it with a critical eye and go, how would I go about this if I left out the turn? And I always do the turns, so this will be new territory for me as well. So let's see if we can do it together. And don't worry if we get lost, that's okay. We're exploring our form in a new way, which is always nice. It's opening up our neural plasticity. Different ways of going about doing things is very good for our mental well-being, to keep us sharp, to keep us engaged, to keep us thinking in new ways is actually very healing for trauma. Apart from anything else, it's very, very useful to think about things in new ways. So let's have a look at our our Immortals Crossing the Sea form. So we're going to start with our heels together, toes slightly apart. We lengthen through the top of the head, the chin slightly down and back, and we take a few moments to breathe and calm through the system. Letting go. Listening behind. And let's begin. We scoop. Left hand under. Expand, turn and step. Flip the toes, sit back and down. Immortal lifting the mountain. Dragon into the ocean. Dragon tiger confrontation. So here's the first turn we're going to leave out. So we wind up, turn the arms, and step forwards left. Hung, Lu, G, An. Now this would be another turn, so we're going to step and we'll circle the arms, step and step back. Block and step through. This is another turn. We could leave it out, we'll leave it out. We bring the arm up and over, we step, turning to the front and expand. Gather, up and over, expand. Turn and release the right side. Step and half step with a rise. So now we take Immortals Crossing the Sea. Bending the floor stroke. Again, I'm trying to iron out the corners a little bit just so that you can see a wee bit easier. This should be to the corner. Up and over. Kicking section. I need a little more space. Here we go. Okay, and kick. And to the corner. Pluck. Brush knee push. Beyond shadow. Cross. Circle. Brush knee push. Now again, I don't know how we're going to do this, but we'll do it anyway. So needing more space. We're not turning to the back. We're just going to do it. So it will change it a little bit. We're going to pluck, turn to the front and step. Turn, pluck and pluck. Relax to center. So do you see we've actually, by not turning to the back, we've flipped it to face in the other direction, which may be a little confusing, but we'll keep going. So we're going to step, arm comes under, and step. We're not going to do the turn, but instead just to the front, palms face out, push the hands out, bring the feet round, and step down. And this brings us back to pretty much, if we add a little step, step back, this is pretty much where we would be anyway. So we circle the arms, and, isn't that right? Yeah. Circle the arms and kick. Circle the arms and rise. Step down, step through. Are we still there? We circle and balance. Step down and balance. Step down, step back, fix the feet, sit back and down. Again, we're leaving out the turn. We make fists, down and down. Come in, step, strike a pose. Fists turn to face out. Release. Take a breath. Relax. Back to center, checking posture. Pointing to the floor. And we finish with closing left. Very good. Wow. Didn't that kind of, well, it made it much easier, but it took a lot of the wow factor out. Well, the normal, the glamour of the turns. But actually, when we do that, it really sort of makes it much more vanilla and much more easy to address. So if you were having major joint issues or I don't know, pain, or if say you had vertigo or were experiencing dizziness or headaches, anything like that, any sort of neurological stuff going on, I imagine that that would make training this form in its full sense really quite unapproachable, whereas you could do that quite easily, I think. And it lent itself quite well. Now, as you see, because we didn't turn to face the back to do our two Immortals, what's it called? Two Immortals, yes. That we did actually kind of change the feeling of it. We were going the other way to get into the Immortal Fishing Toad. But it worked out fine because we left out another turn and we ended up back where we normally are. So I'd be really interested to hear your feedback about that. If you loved it, or if it totally disconcerted you, or if, you know, how did it go? Yeah, Tony, what do you think?
The good thing about it was it allowed me to pick up some of my mistakes or nuance one of the like to go do there. I'm just going, so I was able to go, ah,
Yeah, that's it, isn't it?
that'll
Any,
be good training on.
say again?
That'll be good for training. So, you know, I've sort of got the form, but lots of mistakes or little bits or so just to get those into my head it was really good.
Yeah, that's the way. Anytime we look at something from a different perspective, even if by doing that we're having to alter it slightly, it's going to give us new insight, isn't it? It's like this phenomenon that happens when the master comes, that we all find our sweet spot, we find our place in the room, and we can be quite you know, sharp elbowed about, you know, like, this is my place, don't you know? And people get really quite upset if someone else comes and stands in their place after break or whatever. But that's my spot. You know, I took that spot. But actually, by moving into different sections of the room, even that, just seeing it from a different angle can completely open our eyes to areas and to moves and to things that we weren't aware of. And that is the unfortunate and maybe fortunate thing when you're training something as deep and complex as Tai Chi, that if we knew we weren't doing it perfectly, we would fix it. So we're always doing our best, thinking that we're doing it pretty well, most of us, hopefully. But actually, it's the things that we aren't aware of. We can't fix it if we don't know it's wrong. You know, if like deviation, we can't fix a deviation if we're not aware of it. So by looking at things from different angles, it can actually be very eye-opening. It can really go, oh, I never saw that move, you know. And you'd think that that, you know, is a sort of beginner's issue. It's not. But it becomes more and more subtle as we progress in our Tai Chi practice, that something that we thought we've been doing for decades. I thought, yeah, I had that. And then one day someone points something out, or you see it, or it just maybe the master emphasizes it, whereas he never emphasized it before, and you're going, I had no clue. I wasn't doing that. I was leaving that out. So yeah, not that I'm a master, but yes, just seeing it from a different angle like this can be very useful. Eric, what about you? How did you find it?
Yeah, I found it a completely different animal actually.
Mm. Yeah,
Without the turns, it changes it completely, I felt.
it does.
Yeah, I think the
Yeah.
turns are important.
Say the last one again.
I think the turns are important.
Oh, of course they are. Yes, it really takes it from a queen of a practice to a pauper. You know, it's really incredibly. It's like taking out, I don't know, taking out garlic out of a really yummy dish. You know, you take out that ingredient, it's a main ingredient, and it's all of a sudden quite bland. However, there's almost all of the pith, all of the actual substance of the form is in what we just did. The turns make it magnificent, they make it majestic, they create the vortex of energy that creates this
Yeah,
beautiful dynamism. So it's absolutely, the turns are important. However, we did that exercise really as an exercise to see what it would be like without. So if you are doing it without, rather than just going, okay, so next, what you would do is you would visualize the movement. You go, now I'm turning to get to here. So even in your mind, you would still embrace the choreography of the movement without necessarily doing it. So yes, the turns are absolutely important. They make it what it is. They give it that signature flavor of Master Lock's work, and it's exciting and it's three-dimensional and it's all encompassing. It is wrapping the energy in this vortex, but not just in one what would you call it, one axis, but Master Lock really wraps the energy. So we're creating a kind of, what are those things called? Can never remember the gyroscope. It's like a gyroscope of energy that we're creating this field of balance by continuously turning and wrapping in various directions. So it's absolutely quintessential to the practice. However, if you're getting to the stage on a day that it's gonna hurt you, you're gonna fall over, your limbs are gonna be in pain by doing them, you can still do the practice and visualize the move. Now I'm turning, even though you're not actually physically turning. So there, it's a method, it's a methodology for coping with injury, illness, dizziness, whatever it may be, but still managing to tick the box of having done your practice on that day. So I'm not saying that you should leave out the turns if you don't have to, but it's useful to know that this is what you can do if you have to. You can adapt. So nobody wants to walk with a stick, but if you've no other choice, this is how to do it, kind of thing. Okay, so now that we've done that, shall we do the whole thing with the turns?
yes, we may as well try.
Put the garlic back in. I don't see why not. I mean, yeah, give it a go. But now, if you want to, you can refer back to that in the video and play again without. I think we did a decent job. You can see that it is doable, it is adaptable, and that's the thing. Tai Chi is adaptable. But obviously, if you can do the full Monty, do it. That's what it's all about. You do what you can, and that helps you go a little further each time. Okay, folks, so I'll pop you back on mute. Thank you for that feedback. That was great. And of course, yeah, it was helping, hopefully help us see things, as Tony mentioned, in a different way. You can see stuff. Oh, I shouldn't have sat like that. Oh, stiff. Okay, so while I wish energy back into my legs, prepare, please. Get ready. Oh. Okay, ready? coming down. Listening behind. And begin. Turn to the back, pluck right. Step to the side, left. Turn the toes left, pluck left. Right hand opens and follows. Feed the weight back to the right. And fishing toe. Good. Well done. I take it back. I think the form is a queen. I think without the turns, it's more like a servant girl. It's still beautiful. I still enjoyed it the other way without the turns, but oh my goodness, just adding those spins. Do you see what I mean about creating a vortex? All Tai Chi is designed to create a spin, to emphasize a flow of energy that wraps around your structures. So all Tai Chi, if you look at silk reeling, all of this rotating and twisting is designed to create this flow. I'm reminded of the electroculture. I don't know if you've heard of electroculture. It's maybe a little bit of a fad thing, but if you take a stake or a piece of wood and coil copper around it, in fact I can show you some in a second, and stick that into the earth around your plants, you'll find that possibly your plants, excuse me while I nip out of view for a second, you'll find that possibly these plants actually, here we are, actually do better. But you may think total fad, total nonsense, or you might give it a go. I'm going to give it a go on our polytunnel. But here you can see is a stick with copper wire, and there I'm going to stick that part into the earth, like so. So yeah, so you can see the same idea. We want energy to spiral. The copper wire conducts energy, and by creating a spiral, it creates a more energetic environment. Now, the copper electroculture, there's all sorts of reasons why they think it actually helps. That slight electric current going through the earth kills off some nasty bugs and that kind of thing. But actually, when we do our spiraling work, it helps to fortify and enrich our energy. Our life force becomes stronger when it is spiraled. So any of our Tai Chi movements will do it. But as you can see, these movements are really, you know, they're going in spirals and circles in all directions. So it makes for a really beautiful, energetic environment within our system. We're creating this beautiful snow globe of churning energy, if you like, all the way through our bodies. So I hope you've enjoyed that. We are actually running close to the bone time-wise, so let's finish with a little bit of our sinus work that I promised we would do. So I'm going to come close so that you can see this. If you rub your hands, please, vigorously together. We're going to start at the chin and rub up and down around the face. Just take your time. Good. So this helps to, as I say, it helps you just get nice and clear, feeling fresh after your practice. In fact, this is often referred to as washing without water, but obviously it has a different purpose. It's an energetic purpose. You can start at your chin and work up, and we can go over the scalp again, behind the ears and down, helping the waste products to drain from your head, the sinuses, good, and then, got a hair, then we rub again, and we're going to look at specific pressure points. So, bring 2 fingers either side of the widest point of your nose. So don't measure on the nose, but on the face, and take the closest ones to your nose away. So this gives you your measurement, and it's really directly down from the center of your eyes. So there we want to feel where the jaw meets the gum line, and we can drill into it one way and the other, or if that's not particularly pleasant, you can actually just stick your thumbs in and press. For just 3 seconds is enough, and release, and you'll get a lovely rosy little dimple for a second. We rub again, and now we're going to the bridge of the nose. So this is where your glasses sit, and we're just going to rub in circles. Again, down and outwards will help the lymph to flow. It'll help your nose to unblock if it's blocked. But actually the way I was taught initially was to rub one way and then rub the other way. And there's a whole science behind the circling of rubbing the body, or circling around the body. We don't really have time to get into that now, but maybe next time we'll talk about that. So let's go on now to the eyebrows, just the inside corner of the eyebrows. Get the thumb in there and circle. Good, and again there is a method. So you can, the traditional Chinese way is to do both directions. I find from the lymph drainage point of view, in and down is better. It helps to drain. You're kind of directing the fluid to an exit. So it may make your nose run. Let's pinch and squeeze and draw inwards and release. So we're actually pinching the brow bone itself rather than thinking of flesh, and then halfway on the brow bone, pinch and squeeze in towards the center and release. Good. Okay, and we rub again. We go on to the temples this time. I really like to use the heels of my palms. Sometimes you'll see people using the pads of the fingers, but this is a much more satisfying, intense little connection with the heels of the hands. So we gently circle one way and the other way. And again, what I would suggest to you is listen for which way feels best. And do that more. Okay, rub again. So Tai Chi, yes, it's all about balance, but it's also about listening to your body and responding to what your body is asking for. So now we pinch the ears, we give them a jolly good stimulation. And this is like reflexology, really. You are influencing your whole body by pinching your ears. Good, give them a wee pull. Good, we return to behind the ears again. So we rub again, go behind the ears. And again, this is directly onto the lymph nodes. And I'd like you to just gently smooth down your neck. Good. I'm going to add a little platysma drain. So we're just going down from the chin down to the main drain. Very nice for sore throats. Very good. And there you have it. We're going to finish with the kidneys. So as I say, the waterworks also are responsible for getting rid of some of the waste of our body. That's what urine is for, is to help, get rid of excess water. But actually, it's more the water is the carrier to get rid of unwanted stuff, urea and various things. So we rub our hands and we go to the kidneys. We bend the knees if you're standing, and you give the kidneys a jolly good rub. Good, and hold your kidneys and just feel that lovely warmth flowing into your back. Isn't that beautiful? Very soothing, very comforting. Rub your kidneys every day, please, if you can remember, because they're your battery pack. When we're not actually doing Tai Chi, we don't have a dandian, but we do have kidneys. So the kidneys store your energy. So if you rub your kidneys every day, you keep them warm, you look after them, you drink enough fluids, not too much, not too little, you'll keep your kidneys in good condition, so you'll keep your battery pack good. And if you think of your phone, it might be a brilliant phone, but if the batteries go, the phone's not much use. So let's look after our kidneys, please, to have a healthy and long and happy life. Good. Folks, I hope you have enjoyed this practice today. I've had a great time. I always love to share some Tai Chi with you, and I need it as well. So thank you very much for joining me. Keep up the good work, practice, and in the meantime, I will say thank you and see you next time. Oh, this one.